This episode of Rules of Success is brought to you in part by Brahma Lending. Here's the scoop. Does your business need money? Whether to raise working capital, purchase new equipment, finance your accounts receivable, or even acquire a new company, Brahma Lending can help. Unlike a bank or a local credit union that lend based on creditworthiness, Brahma has relationships with dozens of lenders throughout the United States and can offer both traditional and non-traditional solutions. What does this mean for you? Options. To see how Brahma can help you and your business, take a minute and visit morelendingoptions.com. This episode of Rules of Success is also brought to you in part by Gnarly Nutrition. It could be argued that diet and supplementation are actually more important to a fit, healthy body than actual exercise. That's where Gnarly Nutrition steps in. With products that include BCAAs, whey protein, pre-workout powders, and meal replacements, Gnarly is committed to providing clean sports nutrition, period. You can be confident that Gnarly Nutrition products are blended with only superior, organic, non-GMO ingredients. With Gnarly, it's natural, healthy, and delicious. Go check out GoGnarly.com to get your stash.
It's like Archimedes, the idea of Archimedes' philosophy of, can I lift the world up with a long lever? When you're a warrior, you have a short lever. It's a sword. It gets you far. It cuts. It makes things happen. But as we mature in life, we need to access the full spectrum of our power and our capacity, our beingness. This is the essence of what I'm discovering now that my mentors have been pointing at for years.
My friends, the week rolls on and another full-length episode of Rules of Success comes to you right now. That voice you just heard is a man by the name of Satyen Raja. He's a leader, he's a mentor, he's a guide. He's the founder of the Warrior Sage group of companies, which includes the Accelerated Evolution Academy. I'm just going to read a blip from his bio here that just perfectly describes what he does. He says, Satyen teaches with clarity, power, and provocation. In his presence, you are compelled to search within and to draw your latent abilities. Through dynamic examples, compelling stories, cutting-edge ideas, spontaneous humor, and proven practices, Satyen motivates, provokes, and inspires you into accepting and cultivating your own greatness. In the second segment, he walks me through this process that totally backs up what I just read about him. Like it says, he's a combination between the warrior and the sage, the action and the thought. In this interview, we dive into that, and we give you practical applications and a process to follow yourself that will get you in touch in exactly the way you need to have your best life. If you're ready, I'm ready. On the other side of this intro is our interview.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Rules of Success. We discuss the topics that help you see things in a different way. We talk balance in body, being, business, and relationships. A podcast about success? Yeah, that's us. Here's your host, Bryce Prescott.
My friends, my family, we are back once again, another feature-length episode of Rules of Success. I'm pretty excited about this one. We had a little bit of rescheduling to do, but I've got here with me Satyen Raja. Did I say that right, sir?
You did. Satyen Raja, well said.
It's a very beautiful name and peculiar at the same time, so I apologize if I, over the course of the next hour, butcher it, but I'll do my best. Satyen Raja.
You should hear what all the American-sounding names sound like when you're Indian.
I never thought about that. That's true. I spent some time living in Brazil when I was younger, and the difference between Portuguese and English makes some funny noises. But Indian is one I'm not that well served with. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the show. You came to me very highly recommended, and I'm really curious. The interesting thing is in the preparation for this, you were described to me as somebody that was very good with NLP of all things, actually. And I don't know if we'll talk about that or not, but just the processes and things that you've talked about wanting to walk us through and allow the listeners of this show to participate with you is pretty exciting. And I'm
it's more accurately not NLP. I think sometimes people compare or try to give some meaning. Hey, it's sort of like that, but really I call it accelerated evolution. I'd be happy to dive into that a little later.
Absolutely. Accelerated evolution. That sounds deliberate. I like that.
It is. And, I think what would be fun is if you're open to it, that we dive into sometime during this experience, giving yourself and everyone an experience of really up-leveling success consciously, tangibly today. So
Sure, absolutely. That's on my agenda here. Awesome. You've kicked open the door nicely. I don't want to give the full blast of it, but can you give me somewhat of an elevator version of what is accelerated evolution?
It's a way of up-leveling your consciousness to go from peak performance to peak consciousness. We can use willpower, we can use strong intent, and most of us know how to access that. There's a lot of great teachings and philosophies and motivation around that. But to really dial into the next level, you got to tune into the sage, the warrior and the sage. The sage is our inner wisdom. So what this particular philosophy and methodology does, it dives us deep into our core power without fanfare, so that we're emanating, exuding true success and power rather than the false egoic version.
Gosh, I like that a lot. So the sage and the warrior, the polar opposites there, tapping into both.
Exactly.
For the sake of consciousness, not performance. Or is it tied to both? Is it you arrive at the consciousness and it enhances performance? Is that?
Exactly. You're right. You expand your consciousness, you bring it to peak consciousness yourself, and then your success comes far more naturally rather than with excessive willpower and excessive forcing and struggle.
Oh, I'm excited for this, Satyen. One of the more impactful books that I've read in my life is, I can't remember the exact title of it, but it was written by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and they have their Abraham deal that they do. And it was the phrase from that book that really struck me was that going with the flow, pointing your boat downstream, and being willing just to kind of float in and out of it. And I'm curious to dive into this further here soon, because it does fly in the face of some of the general business acumen that is out there, that, it's all about doing the work and hard, like just willpower and commitment and just being in that space. But this idea of general flowy just seems a little bit too airy-fairy for some.
Well, it is airy-fairy if you haven't cultivated the warrior already. So I think the first stage is, from my experience, is that we got to cultivate the get shit done, get with it, find out what your goals are, your mission, be absolutely single-pointed, execute with ferocity, and all of that vibe. That's a must. We need to gain some strength in that, or else we don't mature or go to the next step of evolution, which is taking the skills we've gained from that warrior mindset and then maturing them, blooming them with the side that we can't keep up warrior when we're 60, 70, 80. Okay, let's face it.
Sure.
We need to cultivate also the sage, the wisdom center in our being. So I think we need, just like in martial arts, there's belts. You need to have warriorship as your initial belts, but as you go up, you need to do less to attain more. You need to do even less to attain more, and to attain that skill, that ability, that's the profundity that we need to touch here.
Oh, it's beautiful. You created such a beautiful picture with the way that you described that. It makes complete sense. You're absolutely right. You're not going to be 65, 70, 80 years old out there, super aggressive, on your grind, as they say, doing all that. You're going to have established something different. And like I said before, it feels deliberate. I like that.
Well, I'm close to 50 now. I'm 49 around the corner. And it's like, I've done warrior for many years. It's paid off really well. I've attained a lot of success personally, and I've helped others attain tremendous success. But there's only so much units of power that the warrior can wield. It's like Archimedes, the idea of Archimedes' philosophy of, can I lift the world up with a long lever? When you're a warrior, you have a short lever. It's a sword.
Yeah.
It gets you far. It cuts. It makes things happen. But as we mature in life, we need to access the full spectrum of our power and our capacity, our beingness. And so this is the essence of what I'm discovering now, that my mentors have been pointing at for years.
Yeah. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. I knowing that you're rounding the corner here to 50, I'd like to know more about the little guy, the guy that when you were younger, and the situation of your upbringing, and how those experiences, ultimately were somewhat of a crucible for you to be able to have this path that you've come across. There's this idea, these two opposite ideas of nature versus nurture when it comes to the people that we develop into? Is it something because of our circumstance, or is it something that's inherently a part of us? And it seems that the easiest answer and the most complete answer would be a little bit of both, and it could waver on the side of that. So I'd like to know kind of your situation. Was this something that you were always aware of or brought up with, or what was the conditions of your upbringing that set the stage for this to be something that you were very in tune with?
Well, I grew up with a wonderful family, East Indian Gujarati family, western side of India, and born in Uganda, Africa, and then raised in Canada most of my life. A little stint in England, but mostly raised in Canada, the Toronto area, Brampton area of Canada. And I was really moved when I was young by this TV show that I saw called Kung Fu with David Carradine.
Yes.
It was, looking at it now, there's a lot of corniness to it. The fighting scenes are pretty corny and underdeveloped and so forth. But back then, when you're a youngster, it just looks amazing.
Sure, yeah.
And then Bruce Lee also, seeing this enigmatic character fly off the screen, with such great passion and intensity and power. And those two icons, those two role models really touched me. David Carradine played the role of this very, very deadly Shaolin warrior, but also had this great amount of peace, serenity, had this way of changing the evolution of the town that he was in simply by his connection, his contact, his spiritual beingness. And I went, wow, this is like the ultimate warrior sage. I didn't have the words for it back then, but I knew that I wanted that. I wanted power as well as some type of inner gentleness and serenity and equilibrium. And then I saw Bruce Lee with this incredible passion, and I said, I want that too. And those are my first people to really get me to come out of my everyday shell. I was very nervous, insecure, typical teen, but I was really at the bottom of the line, very skinny and stuttered when I was with people. And then when I got into martial arts, I sought out martial arts masters who were in the Kung Fu tradition. And I was very blessed to find some incredible teachers who were my initial mentors, my first mentors. And they taught me the way of service. We had a saying, we, the instructors, are here to help others help themselves. And that philosophy has stuck with me. And I just pursued martial arts until finally I became an owner of my own martial arts schools. And then I went into other personal development trainings full on. I made that the cornerstone of my life. And my wife joined me in this expansion, this pursuit, Suzanne. We've been together for 28 years. So we dove into really what makes us become strong as sexual beings in relationship, what makes us powerful in our influence, and what makes us free in our finances to be able to achieve what we want, when we want, how we want, all done from our soul rather than societal imprints of what makes us successful. So that's been my own personal journey, and it's also been something that I share as I'm sharing now with others. And that also includes parenthood, because we've got two amazing young adults, my wife and I, and they also have been some of our greatest teachers,
Yeah.
Showing where I'm duplicit, where I'm full of shit, and revealing the dark side as well. And because really they only listen to what you're really doing, how you're living, rather than what we actually say. So
yeah, I'm glad that you bring that up. One of the more recent interviews I just did was with the guy who founds this here in Salt Lake City, which where I'm located. He founded this group that's called it's called Quit Trippin', and it's an outreach group for teens and young adults, and helps them through community and an association be able to combat some of the challenges that face teens and family dynamic and life and drugs and all this stuff that happens. And one of the things that he shared that just really, when I heard you say it, just popped off into my ears was that, they can tell, teens can tell, kids can tell when you're out of alignment, when you're a hypocrite, when you're not doing what you say and saying what you do. And it's a real interesting barometer, especially for those of us that do have kids that are in that age, that it's such a, I'll use your word, it's an accelerated evolution when it comes to what we get to be and what we want to be. And we can either embrace it or we can just fight against it. But the fact is that it's always there. The dynamic is there when you've got younger children.
It's funnily enough, my wife is also the same. She's a barometer of my integrity and my clarity and my execution of what I believe in. If she feels I'm faltering or not living to my depth or not as present and conscious as I can be, then I see it in her face, in her irritability. I see it in her irritability is really about my lack of presence.
Sure.
Is what I've noticed over a long period of time. I used to say it's all about you, but now I've found that it's not. It's about the emanation, the transmission of my being. And if it's filled with presence and claim of my direction, claim of my mission, if it's filled with execution, penetrating into the world, not just talking about it, not just thinking about things, not just hoping things are going to come together. When I have those dialed in, my wife blooms into a magnificent goddess. Her sexual power arises, the passion in our relationship grows. So I know that the feminine also is a great reflection of our masculine integrity.
That's pretty impactful, man. The thought that comes up for me as I listen to you talk about that is this, I've been married. I'm in my second marriage right now. Excuse me. And we've been married coming up on 11 years here in the month of May.
Congratulations.
And the past several years have been just phenomenal. Very passionate. She's my biggest fan and I'm her biggest fan. We support each other in our pursuits and what we want to do. And I've noticed for me that the difference that occurred when we were able to shift into a more unconditional type of space between each other was when we were willing to recognize a simple truth. And I'd like your take on this because it does, on the surface, it agrees with what you're saying, but at the same time, there's some other things that I'd like just your clarity on. And
Sure.
that is this, that in relationship, we are accountable for our own experience. Nobody can make me happy and I can't make anybody else happy. That's a choice that I make. And then there's other things that allow that to be an easier choice to make. And specific in relationship, that's what I found is that it's not my job to make my wife happy. However, I can create an environment that makes that a very easy choice for her. Or I can create an environment that it's challenging for her because there's things that come up, like as I heard you talk about, your wife blooms when you're in your clarity in your space, and the same for her. I'm assuming when she embraces her feminine. And so where is that line? Where is the line between it's up to us and other people can help us?
The way my wife Suzanne and I look at it is there's 3 stages of consciousness and maturity that we can be in. And the first stage is reliance. So I'm relying on you, you're relying on me, we're codependent. And whenever we hit that codependent note in us, it's not healthy. It's like I'm wanting her to fulfill something for me. I'm wanting her to do things the way I want. And when it's not happening, I'm unhappy. Vice versa.
Sure.
And I think we need to move beyond that codependency and the reliance on someone else to make us happy and to make us whole. So that's the thing, what you're talking about. The second stage of maturity or space that we can grow into is self-reliance, where, I know what my path and my mission is. I love you, but I don't need you. You know yourself, you know your path and mission, beloved. We don't need each other. And I know you love me and you can grow on your own. So we both become independent, self-reliant, conscious people responsible for our own happiness and joy. So this is, I think, a more evolved phase than the codependent phase of trying to get happiness from someone outside of you,
Yeah.
But there's another phase that my wife and I enter and aim to continue to mature in, and that's self-transcendence. So going from reliance to self-reliance to self-transcendence. And self-transcendence, for me, is recognizing that we are ultimately one, that there is this sacred force that's living us both, and that together we're strong, but when we're one, when we're serving each other's deepest mission, when I'm devoted to my wife's deepest unfolding, how would God, truth, love, infinity want her to be fully expressed? And when she's feeling that same reciprocal devotion, how would truth, existence want to live Satyen to his fullest? Then rather than trying to get from each other in the codependent phase or give each other space and honoring in the second phase, the third phase is interdependence. Let's uplift each other. Honey, what's your passion? What do you know what? My wife is feeling bored and tired and she feels, honey, Friday night, 7:00, wear something black. It's a surprise. We're going out for fun. The kids are all handled. It's like taking charge, but from love. And it's surrendering from love rather than trying to get love. And I think that's the next possibility, as well as dream, as well as ecstasy that we can have in our relationships when we realize it's a crucible for enlightenment, not just to get your rocks off or to get the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and 2.5 cars and all of that stuff.
Right.
You know?
It's very thought-provoking to think about that. Like, as I place what I'm hearing from you into my own space, it's like I see that we dance between those second, third ones,
Yes.
And for anybody else that's listening to this and is in relationship themselves, my thought is that, I guess I'll just throw this back at you. So because we are all on our own individual journeys, and then collectively we bump into each other, and every now and then we find people like you and your wife, and I feel the same way about my spouse, and there's other close male friends that there's a strong connection with, and different things. That dance is an interesting thing, because self-transcendence, can it happen alone?
I think it can, but it's way more fun with others.
Yes.
It's way more fun, way more joyful. I mean, some people are meant to live and go into the more solo life of growth. But some of us, like us, I'm drawn. I love my woman. I feel like a man of relationship. When I'm just alone by myself, it's not that I'm dependent. It's just that my soul knows that I'll be a better man with my strong woman by my side.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to find what our actual truth is. If we're meant to be in relationship, if we're going to go for a relationship, why go for the lower standard? Why not aim for the highest standard and our highest evolution, which is devotion to something bigger than us? Not just me, not just we, but for the sake of something bigger.
Yeah.
And that keeps the relationship evolving. It evokes a type of, hey, we can do this together. Not only can we overcome obstacles, we can create magnificence, whatever that is. And that's polarity. Suzanne and I, we call that the arc, creating polarity in relationship, the arc of sexual, mental, emotional spark that keeps the relationship ever evolving.
Sure. So then how do we bridge the gap between, I call it inner world principles and outer world principles. There's the things that we're talking about, as far as my perspective, are generally between your ears and in your heart. It's a feeling, it's a general direction, it's a pull, it's a longing, it's an understanding, it's a something that happens. It's not a physical occurrence. It's more of a spiritual or emotional occurrence. But yet, you used an example. Honey, 7:00 Friday night, have your black dress on, we're going out. So how do we bridge the gap to what is a good place to find the strategies associated with accelerating this, so that we're not just sitting Indian style thinking about all this stuff, but we're in motion and we're bringing ourselves together in our relationships and in our being through action. Like, where do we find those strategies, those things to do?
Well, the resources around that, some of Suzanne and I's main inspirations are one of our mentors, a fellow named David Data. David, Data, D-E-I-D-A.
Is he the guy that wrote what's that book?
The Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah, Way of the Superior Man. Great book.
It's The Way of the Superior Man. It's a powerful, powerful teaching. And my wife and I have embraced those philosophies from David and have taken it into our own lives. And maybe sometime near the end, we can share the resources we have available for couples. We've made many, many videos that are very practical exercises, practical communication exercises, very practical ways of enlivening the polarity with each other. And I'll share about the resources at the end, I think. Would be good.
That's fair.
And then people can go check out all those videos.
Okay. Well, I have a question in respective to limiting beliefs for you. A lot of what we're talking about, it doesn't, if an individual is looking in through the lens of their life and they don't feel worthy or they don't understand what is really they are capable of, if they don't feel a connection to something that's bigger than themselves, it's just going to fall into deaf ears. They're not going to, see that that's them. It might be somebody else, but it's not them. So I wanted to ask you specifically, because I know I have my own, and I've spoken about them many, many times on this podcast, about those first experiences where I was able to shed a limiting belief and I was able to recognize firsthand how I was looking upon something and my relationship to it, and that it was I was full of shit. I didn't need to have that be a part of the way I looked at life anymore. And so you've shared that, Kung Fu and martial arts was a big part of your life. I would category that as you're an athlete. You're somebody that understands that your body in motion has an effect on your understanding and your consciousness. And so share with me an experience specific to that where you thought one way and you realized that was the only thing that was limiting you, was your thought about that specific experience.
Certainly. I mean, what you're talking about is power, personal power, and the power of the self and the power of creation, the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And power goes hand in hand with influence. So if we feel that we've got, one of the just, we have to look at the limiting beliefs. And how do we find what our limiting beliefs is ask yourself what you feel you're able to create in the world. What am I able to create? What do I feel I can create with confidence? And you make a list of that. And you look at it and you ask your friends, you ask your partners, you ask your buddies, you ask people who trust you. And if they say, are you kidding? You're way bigger than that. Are you kidding? There's way more to you than that. If they're saying, oh, are you crazy? This is full of bullshit and you're just over dreaming and all that, then there's a part of you that's incongruent. You've got a limiting belief either way. So for me, limiting beliefs boil down to self-importance. And there's two types of self-importance in relationship to power. One of them is inflating yourself, that we all know about. The idea of the ego, the idea of, banging your chest on the wall and making yourself seem bigger. I've accomplished this and this, and perhaps you haven't really you're not there yet, but you're using affirmations and such to try to lift yourself up into that power to overcome any limits. The problem with inflating yourself is it has a backlash. There's always a backfire. People get pushed away from people who are exuding a prominence that's not earned. You can feel it.
Absolutely.
You can feel it. And then, unfortunately, the very thing that you're trying to get from this false power moves away, slips away from you. The other side of power, or false power, one side is inflation of the self, and the other side is deflation of yourself. Oh, look at me. I'm just so humble. I'm just a humble servant. I just want to be, do my small thing, my own thing in privacy, and I don't really care about making a big impact. I'm just a servant of God. So there's truth in that as well, but it's a self-deflation, an excessive lowering of your own value. Excessively raising it or lowering it both create a backlash, a backfiring. You're shooting your own foot. Those two are the ways to find. Just have to ask yourself. Look at yourself. You can feel it.
What are the tells for that? How do you tell?
Well, if you're aggrandizing yourself, people are being pushed away. You're buying beyond your limits. You're trying to dress up and look beyond. You're trying to put on a false image. You're being bigger than you, and people know it. And what you attract are people who are weak around you, who then slap you back on the head or talk shit behind your back. That's the balancing force. You get knocked down. One of my martial arts mentors says it's better to be humble all the time than to be humiliated all at once.
I like that.
All right. And then there's the other side. The woe is me, the victim, the less than. I have no power. You have power over me. And how that looks like is you get stepped on. People don't listen to you. You feel underheard and underaccomplished, undervalued. And you'll keep driving or striving, or you'll give up and go into apathy mode. Those are signs of either ones of those extremes. And there is a way to accelerate one's evolution so they come into the truth of self. And the way to do that is to in the East, in the Zen tradition, it's called waking up to your true nature. Kensho, Kensho, is what they call it. When you slough off the extra and you slough off the victim, what's left is the pure jewel of you. And when you start from there, then your accomplishment is measured, it's clear, your success unfolds in a natural way, and there's no backlash from the universe. There's no backlash from others. You are accepted because you are true unto yourself.
Interesting. So it would seem that the transition between that aggrandizing of yourself and the diminishing of yourself, that could happen in 5 minutes. You could be on both sides of that spectrum in the very same 5 minutes.
The warrior sage is one who is aware of this. You see it in others, and you'll see it now. You'll see it in the political campaigns that are happening now. Those who are making grander their selves, and you'll see the ones who are diminishing themselves. Either one ultimately are untrustable.
Wow. So when was the first time you realized that about yourself? When were you able to come to terms with that?
Oh, it's been back and forth for years as a young man. You know, growing up as a teenager, wanting to be accepted by others, putting on, wearing clothes like Fonzie. I'm dating myself, but whatever the cool look is of the day, seeing that in the teens around me, and then going, hey, I'm not that, and then swinging to the other opposite. I'm just going to be simple and quiet and blend in with the crowd. And that still wasn't true for myself. So I kept going back and forth until I realized both are a waste of energy. Yeah. And both have a balancing, returning force that will knock me down. It's better just to be self, be honest, integral. Hey, like currently right now, I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not a black belt, and I'm not a beginner. That's the reality. What that means is I'm just starting to move beyond beginnerhood and getting a hold of the foothills of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's exciting.
And right, it's fun, it's exciting. I'm brand new. I get to train with my son, and I get to go from a place where I have a lot of power and success in other areas of my life, and how can I say, respect. And here I'm at the bottom of the rung. I'm fighting with guys mostly half my age or less, and who have way more power and piss and vinegar and stamina. So it's a very healthy thing to do, to remain in a state of just subjecting yourself to where you can grow, no matter if you're starting out, you're intermediate on the path of success, or you're a master of success. Beginner's mind, subjecting yourself to a place where you will be a beginner, is one of the best things that we can do for our success.
One of my favorite authors is a guy named Tim Ferriss. He's pretty popular, and
Tim is awesome.
He has a deal in one of his books where he talks about how it's important to, there was two sides to this admonition, I'll call it. The first one was to in your physical exercise to always be shooting for a target, be training for some event, whether it's a triathlon, whether it's a BJJ competition, whether it be whatever it is, you've got a focal point that you're allowed to use as your why, the pull towards that specific event. And the other thing that he talks about that was really powerful is being willing to learn new skills. And it sounds like, as I connect what I heard you say in his thing, that those are all, there's a deliberate intent behind why you're doing that. And it can be as simple as, well, just to keep yourself interested in your exercise. If you have something you're working for, that's the base level. Well, cool, I want to go because I'm this. But on the higher level, it's that always be growing, always be learning, always be putting yourself in a position to be vulnerable. And athletics and sports and training and whatever it is are great venues for that, great teaching platforms. And so I appreciate that you bring that up, because you're a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's not an easy sport for anybody, let alone somebody that's new to it. And that you obviously have a martial arts background, and so it's not completely foreign to you. But being humbled on a daily basis in a way that's safe, I think is good. And the training of your body is an easy way to do that.
Absolutely. It's an instant barometer of your being.
So share with me our first segment's almost wrapped up here, but before we go there, I wanted to give you a chance. You shared that David, I'm going to butcher his last name. Is it
Data?
Data. Okay.
Data. Yes.
David Data is one of your mentors. Anybody else, any other specific authors or mentors that have really impacted what you've become today?
I've been very blessed by I've sought out masters from many fields. Stuart Wilde, crazy wisdom teacher. He was a mentor to Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer. I was very blessed while he was alive to be a long-term student of his philosophies.
Wow.
And also, I've just been touched by many philosophies, but those two have been very great influences in my life. My martial arts teachers, as well as studying from the feminine essence, understanding the ways of the earth, understanding the ways of shamanic wisdom, the wisdoms that come from the earth-based traditions. Those have really influenced my way of being, nature itself.
Coming right up in this next segment, we're going to talk with Satyen about his Accelerated Evolution Academy and what it has to offer the students that choose to participate. It's pretty good stuff. The other thing I wanted to discuss real briefly is about the process that he walks me through. I would encourage you, if you're listening to this right now, before you listen to the second segment, please find a quiet space where you can listen uninterrupted and by yourself. I would encourage you to follow through with the process that he provides. I did it myself as we were recording this real time, and it was extremely powerful, and you deserve to experience that. So, Accelerated Evolution Academy and a new process coming right up. Before that, here's a few words about our sponsors. I wanted to take a quick minute and thank the sponsors of this show, Brahma Lending and Gnarly Nutrition. As far as Brahma Lending is concerned, I get a kick out of it when I can see businesses that their sole purpose is to help other businesses to stay in business. And what I mean by that is that Brahma Lending is a lending solutions company. If you're a small business or established business and you need anything financial when it comes to working capital, you need to purchase new equipment, finance your accounts receivable, or also known as a factoring loan, you want to buy a new company, Brahma Lending has solutions and options that will help you. Now, they're not like a normal bank or credit union that only lends based on credit worthiness. Brahma has relationships with dozens of lenders throughout the entire United States. They can take your weird shape and find the perfect box for it when it comes to your lending solutions. So, what you need to do, they've made it easy. Go to morelendingoptions.com. Morelendingoptions.com. Take 2 minutes, fill out the short form, and a representative of their company will get in touch with you and see what you can do. Now, as far as Gnarly Nutrition is concerned, these guys are the bee's knees, man. I started using their supplements in my own training, and I was noticing that as soon as I did after that, my results started to peak in a way that they hadn't before. what you put in your body, both pre and post workout, is huge when it comes to the results you're going to get. And Gnarly Nutrition provides BCAAs, whey protein, pre-workout powders, meal replacements, all with non-GMO organic ingredients. These guys are great. So if you'd like to get your own stash, head to GoGnarly.com. Second segment. Thank you so much, Satyen, for dropping knowledge, man. This is great. This is I do a lot of interviews with entrepreneurs. It seems like on some level, everybody that I talk to on Rules of Success is an entrepreneur, and I would categorize you that as well. You know, you do some coaching and consulting, and your sex, power, money stuff that you do is pretty great, and you'll be able to discuss kind of what that is here soon. Warrior Sage, the combination of the warrior and the sage. It's all ultimately there's an economic component that is important for all of us to understand, to be able to live really, exchange value. There's an easy way to exchange value, and but the conversations that I've had, they rarely get to the point where we're talking about such a metaphysical thing as we are now. And one of my favorite books is you can get a free copy of it on my website. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. It really is a good blending of thought being the intent creator, and then having to do the work to get it to bring it in. And there's such an interesting kind of dynamic and reputation that law of attraction type thinking and more metaphysical consciousness type thinking gets, because it's a lot of times misrepresented in the market. I feel that it's, that's okay. Yeah. Go do your thing. Go, smoke your bowl and contemplate the universe. And, I'm going to go work and make money over here and have fun over there.
Exactly.
And it's nice to talk. I feel from you, the energy that I get from you in our discussion is that you've got both of those sides handled in a way that for me, as I listen to this, it has a different punch. Like, it's really authentic. And I just wanted to compliment you with that.
Thank you, brother. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs from my father's side. So my whole father's side lineage, they're all entrepreneurs, business people for many generations. And then my mother's side are social activists, physicians, Gandhians, espousing and living the Gandhian type philosophy of service and well-being to the community. So growing up, these two are not necessarily compatible with entrepreneurship and spirituality, entrepreneurship and social evolution and social service. So I really had these conflicting early on in my life. When I focused on my personal growth, my business diminished. When I focused on my business, I did well in business and success. And I've opened up 6 very powerful, successful companies, multi-million-dollar companies I've created, and coached people with very high level net worth incomes and continue to do so in businesses. And what I found is unless there is a union between the two, what will happen is there'll always be a teeter-tottering, a push and pull, going from one extreme for a few years to another extreme for a few years or a few months, where, okay, I'm going to focus on my growth, my well-being, I'm going to focus on my inner fulfillment or whatever that is. And then, screw that. That's meaningless. That's that's lighting up an incense stick and doing nothing,
Right.
Versus kicking out, just like you shared. But I found a way to unify both. And I'm actually, when we're ready, I'm happy to lead us through an experience that can unify us both. Sure. Our higher consciousness and our striving for business and success in business, as well as our inner emotional, spiritual, altruistic dimension. I think we're at the point in life now where unless they come together, we're going to destroy ourselves and the world.
I would agree with you. I mean, that's not hyperbole either. That's a legitimate destruction. That there's too many that live out of alignment, and you can see them like boils on the face of a young teen. Like it's very, very clear. So I'm excited for this process. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to find out some of the specifics about you. You opened that door for me. So We talked a little bit at the beginning about accelerated evolution, and you gave a very a great answer about what it means and what it is and all that. I wanted to dig deeper into that and have you share with me its inception, where it came from, and what it offers your clients and even potentially the listeners of this show. What exactly, where did it start? How did you start Accelerated Evolution?
Well, I have an academy underneath the banner of my work, underneath my Warrior Sage work, and Accelerated Evolution Academy I created from synthesizing what I found really worked from all the study that I did of psychology, all the study I did of spirituality, of success, of consciousness, from physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual dimensions. And I put it all together because, being a martial artist, I only like to choose what works. Bruce Lee said you can't learn how to swim on dry land.
Sure.
You have to swim in reality.
Right.
And Bruce Lee also said, keep aiming to shave off, cut off what doesn't work, that's extraneous, that's illusionary, that's just woo-woo, and keep refining and galvanizing and strengthening and refining what is practical and works in everyday life. So Accelerated Evolution is a series of methods, processes, techniques, and lifestyle that doesn't need any type of how can I say that you follow any philosophy, any religion. It is doctrine free, because I really like to have things doctrine free, more self-realization, because I believe that when you find the truth, the power yourself without having someone tell you the truths, then you get to keep it rather than it wash away when you stop listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a powerful method of creating fast, deep, effective acceleration in our faith, in our family life, in our business and success, our finances, as well as it's a way to transcend the illusion of success itself and the illusions that we carry every day. And you get to grow up now rather than when shit hits the fan.
Wow. Transcend the illusion of success. Dig into that a little bit more. Exactly what do you mean with that?
Well, the masculine within us, we have a masculine energy and feminine energy. The masculine essence within us, the illusion of the masculine is thinking one day when I attain X, Y, Z, when I attain $100,000 a year, I'll be free. Then you attain that $100,000 a year after hard work, effort, whatever it takes. And then you enjoy that for 6 months. And now you see other people around you and you go, oh my God, I feel trapped again. And now success will only mean something when it's 200,000. And that cycle doesn't end. That's the illusion of the masculine, that one day when X, Y, and Z is fulfilled, I'll be free. The illusion of the feminine within us is one day when I find the right form of love, I'll be filled.
Interesting.
And that's an illusion, because the actuality is when you actually wake up to the truth of the warrior sage you are, you recognize, rather than seeking more freedom or one day then I shall, it's what is the freedom I have now? I have the freedom to get on a podcast and speak with my brother here, Bryce, across the other side of the country.
Yeah.
I have the freedom to get up and make a difference right now. If you're in your chair and you have no legs, you have no arms, we've seen this, you have the freedom to speak. If you can't speak, you have the freedom to sign language. You always have an inherent freedom. And it's from that freedom you have is your power. The freedom you seek is what's cutting you down. That's the illusion.
The freedom that you have is where your power, the freedom that you seek is what's cutting you down.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a brain bender right there, buddy. It's true though. I know one of the more transformative experiences I had in my life was when I read this book, great book, Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. One of the more transformative books in my entire life. It really allowed me to twist the top of my brain off and rewire some things in a good way. And one of the ideas that really stuck with me as a truth was that the answer already exists, the outcome is already determined, and that by being willing to see that, not just see it, but to feel it and to tap into that, that there is a sense and feeling of emotional and spiritual and even financial and physical abundance. That the answer is already there.
Exactly.
And that's a hard thing to like transition out of sometimes, it would seem.
We can do it right now.
All right, let's do it.
All right, everyone, I've stopped the original recording to give you this overview of what you're about ready to experience. First of all, I would recommend that you find a quiet spot where you're able to be by yourself and to fully play all in and participate with what Satyen walks you through here. When I originally recorded this, I played all in, and I did it to the fullest of what he asked and participated, and it was recorded. To make this a more pleasant experience for you, I've removed my own audio track so that what you're getting is just the walkthrough, the guide of what Satyen has you do. It's very powerful if you let it. So I would encourage you to be open and to participate, stating into the space the things that he asks, and to enjoy this transformation. See you on the other side.
Okay, so I'm going to lead everyone through a guided experience, and rather than sit back passively, I'm going to invite and challenge everyone to really dive into this. And it's a very simple experience. It's going to take no more than 7 to 10 minutes maximum.
Okay.
And then we'll come to a nice wrap up.
Okay.
And what it'll do is very simple. The purpose and the intention of this is to take personal growth and spirituality as one side of the camp, growing as a human, growing as a being, which sometimes we hold separately, to the other side, which is making great gains in business, going for it, the warrior, the intention, the no fool around. I need to get my task done and build my architecture for business and success. So we're going to blend both. What we're going to do is we're going to feel one side and we're going to feel the other side. We're going to keep feeling back and forth. And then what's eventually going to happen is both sides will meld and become one. And no longer will it be a tension or an antagonistic duality in your consciousness. Both will be of the same nature, and then you'll be free to be spiritual, conscious, and successful. And just watch how that requires reality over the next few days.
I love it.
Ready to go into it? Okay, and so then I'll ask you, Bryce, to express what comes up, and everyone else at home, just express it into the space. So first of all, I want you to feel the side of success, making it financial success. Feel that fully. Dramatize it, magnify it, exaggerate it, and then say something about it. Whatever comes up. Fantastic. Okay, so let go of that side, and you can do this with your eyes closed. It'll be even deeper. I want you to feel the side now of personal growth, growing yourself as a human, growing your consciousness, deepening yourself as a human, however you do that. Feel that side fully. The side that cares for something bigger. And really enter and dive into that. And when something comes up, just say something about it into the space. Excellent. And everyone at home listening, please just share whatever comes up into this space. We're going to let go of this side now, and we're going to go back to the other side of your warriorship, your intentionality around success, making it. And don't be shy of that. See yourself, magnify that energy of success, whatever that means to you. When you feel it strongly, say something about that into the space. Excellent. Okay, let go of that side. And now dive into the side of spirituality, consciousness. Feel that fully, you attaining spiritual equilibrium, happiness, enlightenment, balance, harmony, flow. Visualize that, see that, magnify that. When you're there, say something about it into the space. Well done. Once again, let go of that side, and we're going to go to the other side again of success, material success, financial success. Feel that you're attaining that fully. The power behind that, the capacity you gain, the freedom you gain with that. Allow yourself to own and feel that fully and magnify that. Embody it. And then say something about it. Excellent. Now we're going to do something interesting. I want you to feel success and spirituality at the same time while you take a deep breath in and out. And tell me what's happening between the two. Yes. Well done. Okay, let go of that. And now, once again, I want you to focus just on the growth side of you, the spiritual attainment, social well being, altruism, expanded heart, connection with Source. Feel that side fully, magnify it. And when you're there, say something about it. Very good. Okay, good. Very good. Let go of that side. And now feel once again your temporal success, a successful life, making it the way you want it. Really dramatize whatever you see and visualize and experience and feel for that. And when you feel it strongly, say something about it. Yeah. Again, let go of that side. And I want you to feel your inner dimension, your spiritual nature, the part of you that's altruistic, connected, and in touch with Source. That wishes to grow and learn as a human being and make the deepest contribution. Feel that side fully. Magnified, in fact. Make it larger than life. And when you're there, say something about it. Well done. And everyone who's doing this at home, just say it into this space and keep following along. We're almost complete. Feel once again now the other side. Your side of striving for success, attainment, status, influence, power, and personal freedom for yourself, your families. Feel you in the driver's side of your entrepreneurship, full on. And when you're there fully, say something about it into the space. Well done. And now, once again, I want you to feel both sides, success and spirituality, at the same time, while you take a slow, deep breath in and out, and then share what's happening between the two into this space. Are they blending, becoming closer, becoming one? Yeah. We're going to go through one more round, and then this will tie it all up. So let's go of that. And this time, I want you to feel once again your desire, your heart, your spiritual side, the side of service, contribution to mankind, your connection with Source and infinity. Enter that fully. And say something about it. Excellent. Let go of that side, and now everyone feel the side of money, success, entrepreneurship. Really magnify. Is there any part of that you haven't felt already? Feel it fully. Magnify it. Dramatize it. And then say something about it. Very good. Thank you. Let go of that side. And now, once again, higher consciousness, spirituality. Dive into that. Feel it fully. Growing as a human. And then say something about that. Well done. Let go of that. And now feel yourself as a person of success. Feel both at the same time and take a deep breath in and out. And share what's happened between the two. Yes. Expand your awareness infinitely in all directions now, infinitely in front of you, behind you, to the sides of you, above and below, and breathe this union of the two. Regarding success and money and spirituality, what are you more conscious now than you were before? So everyone can answer this for themselves and answer it out loud. What are you more conscious of now than you were before regarding before these things that were opposites? What are you more conscious of it now? Yeah. What's good about this integration for you? Exactly. Excellent. What's good about this integration for others? How will it serve others? What's valuable about this awareness? And what's one action, one thing that you can do from this state of new awareness, new heights, that's just going to make life easier, smoother? Yeah. Well done. Take a couple of deep breaths and just congratulate and celebrate this state of union. And when you're ready, you can come back and bring your presence here. Well done. Yeah, take a few breaths. Well done. These things that are now were conflicting can now walk hand in hand together as the same thing.
Yeah, it feels that way. Like, it legitimately feels like a spiritual experience where there was like a like a forgiveness, a wiping clean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for playing full on.
Yeah. It's funny as I kind of settle back in, I've never done an episode on my show like this. This is going to be the most exposed and transparent I think I could ever be as a host. And I just hope that those who partake in this with us as they listen are able to embrace it and to enjoy it too. I'm sure they will, or they won't. Wow. I don't know how to transition out of this, Satyen, to continue to discuss.
I think we can complete. It feels good. We'll let yourself and everyone imbibe in this new state of being. And if you didn't have an opportunity to do it the first time around because you were just listening and watching what would happen, I recommend that you go through this and experience and have it yourself and let it bear fruit for your own life.
Thank you for leading that. I do feel it's appropriate to have you share how people can reach out to you and be associated with you in your program. Where do they find you?
Well, I have a community, an online community that we've initiated, as well as live events that we do online and real live intensives. And if you'd like to join that community and to be notified of our events and be invited to them, just go to warriorsage.com.
Okay. Are you on social media at all? Do you interact on like Facebook or Twitter or any of those things?
Yes, my name is there on Facebook, Satyen Raja, Satyen, last name Raja. Feel free to connect with me there, and love to connect and hear about your experience of this accelerated evolution integration that happened for you. I'd be really happy to hear about how this was for you.
Yeah, I'm curious too. The good thing is this This episode won't be released for another 2.5 weeks, and so I'll be able to have some feedback before it's even released based on what I've experienced.
Yeah.
I heard you say, pay attention, especially the next couple of days, what happens. So
yeah,
I'm game.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Thank you. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and has touched something in me as well. And I appreciate you letting me share my gifts so freely.
Of course. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Trent Outson, aka 6 Cents. Thanks for tuning in to the Rules of Success podcast. Next week, join us again for another ride. In the meantime, make sure to reach out to us on social media. To tweet our host directly, try @I'm Mr. Prescott, or check out our website at rulesofsuccess.us. Until next time, take it a day at a time.